Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. We have some exciting updates on the story that Palantir was going after the $313 million new deal from the NHS. Now, I did an article about, I would say a week ago. Let's go to it right here. As you can see, this is from dailypalantir.com. Is Palantir about to get $260 million from the NHS? Now, it's actually $313 million. I did the conversion wrong. 240 million British pounds is $313 million. I thought it was euros. That's why I did the conversion wrong. But the NHS is basically launching a federated data platform. And I talked about in the article that they're focusing on 5 things: population health and person insight, care coordination, elective recovery, vaccines and immunization, and supply chains. The federated data platform is going to span throughout the entirety of the United Kingdom, and the NHS, which is the National Health Service, because the United Kingdom has a nationalized healthcare system there, is going to be launching this data analytics federated system, this platform, to be able to amalgamate tons and tons of data in one place to make it more streamlined, more effective, more productive, all of that stuff. Now, Palantir has been working with the NHS for the past 2 years. They helped them with the COVID vaccine distribution back in 2020. The work that they did and the effectiveness of the work that they did got them a $34 million contract, which is expiring December 2022. And they've been able to do a really good job with them. So the article, the Digital Health magazine that reported this, said that they understand that the front runner for this FDP, this federal data platform, or federated data platform, is widely assumed to be the existing data platform provider, Palantir. Palantir is already providing an existing data platform for the NHS. Now, it's not used in every single hospital. It is used in a lot of hospitals, and it's particularly dealing with supply chains for those hospitals and backlogs, because in the UK, a lot of patients are backlogged to be able to meet with a doctor, primarily because you can't just call up your private doctor and say, hey, we're going to meet at 4 o'clock. You have to do it through the scheduling service because everything is nationalized there, which is why Palantir has been working with them. It's just not on the, absolute federal level where every single, doctor, every single hospital, every single institution that deals with health services is going through Palantir's data platform. But they have been working with NHS English on a provision for a national NHS data platform throughout the pandemic. So since the pandemic, Palantir has been working with them, and they've been doing a pretty damn good job. And so in the article, I basically said, look, it is very likely Palantir gets this contract, also because Palantir is working with the UK in terms of their Ukrainian refugee crisis. So those things are happening. So Palantir has a good relationship with the UK. They have a good relationship with the NHS. A lot of people didn't like them back in 2020 because they thought Palantir was stealing their data and all that stuff. And the NHS still gave them a contract, even though the people were against it, primarily because the NHS knew that those people were ignorant. They didn't really understand what Palantir does. So it's a really good deal for Palantir. Today, we get a new piece of news that says Palantir hires an artificial intelligence chief from the UK's NHS program as it bids to expand. Peter Thiel's U.S. data firm bids for a $313 million NHS deal. That's the deal we just talked about here, the one that they're planning to give out. And I'll put this article in the description. And the company plans to almost double the UK staff numbers this year. So let's read through this article a little bit. Palantir Technologies has hired the former head of artificial intelligence at the digital wing of Britain's National Health Service as it looks to sign a lucrative new contract with the UK government. So the head of AI at the digital part of the NHS in Britain, because obviously, there's many factors and there's many organizations and sectors to the NHS. AI and data is one of them. The head of the AI sector is now working with Palantir. They've hired him. Indra Joshi quit as a director of AI for the NHS in March, saying it was time to take a break before moving on to my next challenge. She has lined up a job with the US data technology company founded by Peter Thiel. So Palantir's like, hey, you quit. We need this deal. How about you join us? I mean, that's kind of what it seems like it's happening here. Now, obviously, this person is probably well qualified to do the job, but it's a very strategic hire from Palantir. The move may raise concerns about conflicts of interest since Palantir is competing for a UK contract to manage data sets for the NHS. The work may be worth £240 million, $313 million, and would deal with a new federated data platform to deliver transformational improvements across the NHS. This is the NHS's most profound platform or profound idea for data analytics and healthcare that they've done ever, right? This is one of their biggest attempts to do something. The government has already run into trouble over its relationship. This is what I was talking about with Palantir, a £23 million contract to run the NHS COVID-19 data store, $34 million, which gave the firm access to patient records. So Palantir had access to patient records, which is why people were feeling uneasy because they were like, is Palantir going to steal this data? Privacy campaigners took the government to court saying the arrangement broke transparency rules. The case was dropped after the government disclosed the details of the deal, showing, hey, they're not stealing your data. They're making things a lot more efficient, by the way. And I'll put a video in the description. I covered that entire story of people didn't want Palantir to be with the NHS, but Palantir won, and I'll put that video in the description as well. As the head of AI at NHS, Joshi was instrumental in driving NHS deals with tech firms. She signed contracts and oversaw a $140 million pound grant program to fund private companies that are developing AI to improve diagnostics in areas such as breast cancer. The grants come with special access to NHS patient data sets. Again, data really matters. If you don't have the data, it's very difficult to be able to use AI or machine learning in a meaningful way to create an analytics software that actually gets results. The data is truly the oil in those situations, and you have to have access from governments that privatize that data or keep that data secluded to them. A Palantir spokesperson said the company was delighted that Indra has agreed to join the team. We are aiming to grow by 250 in the UK this year. That means 250 people. The company is expanding rapidly in Britain, where it currently employs 600 people and processes sensitive data for the NHS, the Ministry of Defense, and the Cabinet Office. Under the NHS COVID-19 data store contract, it is helping to clear the backlog of patient cases that were left untreated because of the pandemic. And that's what I meant by backlog. A lot of patients tried to go get treatment because they had some issues, even if they were not like life or death issues. But because of the backlog of the pandemic, a lot of those people just still haven't been treated yet. We are proud to work with the work we have done with the NHS over the past 2 years in response to the COVID crisis, which included helping to power their vaccine program, a Palantir spokesperson said. The NHS guidelines prohibit former staff from lobbying or recruiting old colleagues for 6 months after joining the private sector, which a spokesperson described as strict post-employment restrictions. Interesting. So that's interesting because Joshi left in March. So if the NHS prohibit former staff from lobbying or recruiting old colleagues for 6 months. Oh, so like Joshi can't take anyone from the NHS now that they're in the private sector, but if they're in the private sector, they can join before 6 months, but they can't get anyone else. All right, well, you got the head of AI, so it seems like you don't need anyone else. Huge sums of UK taxpayer money are currently being invested in the life sciences industry with a particular focus on AI. Joshi set up and was the director of the AI Lab, a £250 million program to deliver AI-driven technology into the UK. Its budget is a £140 million grant program. Now, being a doctor in the UK, doctor salary UK, is not that lucrative. About 50,000 euros a year. Is that euros or pounds? So like it's not. Yeah. Oh, pounds. Okay, so let's do 53,000 pounds. So 53,000 pounds to dollars. That's about 70 grand. I mean, that's great, but in the United States, I mean, the average salary for a doctor is like, we're talking about a doctor, like you're talking at least 6 figures. Now there's a lot of medical school debt and all that stuff. So like, that's why I think like if you're trying to make money being a doctor, like you should be a doctor because you want to help people, not just because you want to make money. But, and it takes a long time to become a doctor, but like, it's just not, there's a lot of money involved. If you do become a doctor, I mean, like, because private healthcare exists in the United States. And when you have private healthcare, I mean, you can charge your own prices, right? You can deal with insurance providers. You don't have to, it doesn't have to come out of taxes at the end of the day. So being a doctor in the UK or in Europe in general is not the most lucrative because it's all nationalized. But when you have nationalization, you do have the problem of efficiency because private enterprises just are more efficient at the end of the day. This is why, going back to this deal, the NHS really does want to focus on creating a new data platform that can actually accelerate and make efficient the system that they have in the UK, which is this federal system for allowing people to be able to access healthcare without having to pay for it, which, you know, is the values that they care about. But in order to do that, you've got to be able to deal with the data problem and be able to make things make sense. So what does this mean for Palantir? Look, number one, I think Palantir is going to get this deal. I mean, it is very, I said this in the video that I did last week ago on this. It would be very surprising if Palantir does not get this deal. If Palantir is not able to land this $313 million contract, like who else is it going to go to? Now, I don't know if the $313 million is going to be divided and some of it's going to go here, some of it's going to go here, but it seems very likely that it's going to go to one company because you can't have too many cooks in the kitchen, right? Like at the end of the day, if you want to launch a federated data platform that has an ontology, that has a centralized database, that has a frame of reference for one system that everyone can access, you don't want to have 17 different systems. Like that's just going to make things hard. It's going to cause friction. It's going to make things confusing. New people, when they get onboarded to be able to use the system, are going to have to learn all these different tools. It makes the most sense in the world to pick one company. Yes, you're giving that company a lot of power, but you've worked for them for the past 2 years. You built a relationship. They haven't screwed up. In fact, they made things a lot better for you. It makes a lot of sense to give them the money and let them do this. So if Palantir gets this contract, let's say it's, I don't know, over 4 years, we would say, maybe something like that. That comes down to negotiations, but that's almost 80 million a year, something around that, a little bit less than 70 million a year. I mean, that's amazing. That's great. You know, Palantir is expected to do about 1.9 billion in revenue 2022. I mean, if they land this deal, that's just going to help them do that. It's going to create their net dollar retention is going to go insane if they get, because they've already been working with the UK, already have NDR of 143%. Now you get $313 million from existing clients. Talk about a sticky business that's innovative. What other company, that's my point. What other companies getting 313 milli for doing this type of stuff? This is why I'm invested in the company at the end of the day. This is my thesis, that they are creating a product that other people can't create. Snowflake's not getting this deal for a reason. That's the thesis. And if you have to ask yourself, why aren't other data analytics platforms able to get this deal? Is because Palantir is doing something a little bit different. So those are my thoughts. Really interesting stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Obviously, Palantir is trying to get this done, and hopefully we see them get this deal coming up very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I also did a video about what question I should ask to Palantir for their earnings call. Check out that video. I'll put that in the description, and you guys can upvote the comments under that video, because I said the most upvoted comment I'm going to ask as a question, and then everyone can upvote that question on the Say Technologies Palantir application that is out. So thank you guys for watching. Check out the videos. I'll see you in the next one.